Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Marks YouTube channel and the Dragon Suplex Podcasting Network. This is a jammed-packed edition of Curtain Jerkin. We're going to be talking about celebrity boxing. We're going to be talking about Noah, WWE, New Japan, AEW, and we're also going to be talking about something that kind of hit me a little harder than I thought it would this morning. Rest in peace, Takeoff. Everyone, dabbed in 2015. That's kind of how I got into Migos. I heard some of their songs or whatever, but as a Panthers fan, dabbing was like a bit of our success, and this guy was, a part of that, and I feel like that could be something that even hip-hop fans could kind of resonate with. Like everyone was doing that shit, and he kind of was a part of the combination of that getting started. He also was a part of, Migos, which one of their members, not Takeoff, made Ric Flair drip to bring it into wrestling again. And they were on WWE day one. They had songs littered with wrestling references. Walk It Like I Talk It. I mean, that's got to be a Ric Flair reference right then and there. And then they had Ric Flair drip come out too. Or not them, but, a member of their group. So it's sad to see, and it's a bit of a hit culturally, as far as, American culture. Sad news to wake up to. But I guess for the little, he lives on through us, sharing our positive messages for him, and that's what we're going to be doing right now. And that's what we just did. And we're going to be talking more positively about someone who's, still alive and well, Jake Paul, WWE level backstage video package for the fight right before they came out, right before the main event. Silva coming out in black and gold to a forgotten about DMX single. Jake Paul in the black and white bulletproof vest to the Rise or Die Trying era 50 Cent remix. You gotta love these walkout songs, these entrance music, if you will. Arena full of people packed to boo Jake Paul like Flair did in the 80s. Like Jarrett tried to do in TNA. He is a blonde-haired heel that has put the promotion on his back and that people will pay to see lose. They have not seen him lose yet, but they have proven to pay to want to see him lose. Now that MJF is gone face and, Miz has gotten sillier, I would say undisputed top heel in all of sports entertainment today, Jake Paul. Going into the fight, round one kind of sucked. Round two, Silva getting aggressive. Round three, both coming out aggressive. Round four, Silva bleeding from the nose, and you can kind of see the momentum swing in Paul's favor. Round five, getting bored. Round six, crowd booing. They're bored as well. Round seven, Jake Paul, clear aggressor, but the legend Silva showing tons of heart here. Round eight, Paul drops Silva early, but Silva gets up, and I think that kind of solidified the decision that the judges were going to make there, even though it didn't fully knock him out. Judges give the win to Jake Paul. And then in the ring, the in-ring interview after the fight, Jake Paul calls out Nate Diaz, calls him a bitch, hilariously enough. Kind of alludes to what happened earlier as they were setting up for the main event, the fight in the hallway. He also said this quote, which I thought was pretty good. If I were walking on water, they would say I can't swim. I don't know if I could give the origins of that quote to Jake Paul, but it kind of got me thinking. That was kind of an interesting take on the haters, if you will, how people speak about him on social media and everything. But as a wrestling fan, you got to watch this, and you got to kind of love it. I mean, this guy is full-blown heel, thinks he's a face, which is the best heel. But Nate Diaz is a face. He's, of the same vein of the Eddie Kingstons, the Nick Gages, the Jon Moxley's kind of, he's the guy who kind of walks up to the pretty boy and knocks him out, or dies trying, if you will. He's knocked out McGregor. He's been knocked out a few times too, so he's got this underdog mentality to him, and he has this not quit mentality to him. So I think he'd be the perfect opponent for Jake Paul. Going into a little bit of what happened, Nate Diaz and Jake Paul's teams, camps, factions, what have you, fighting, throwing cups in the hallway right before Jake comes out to the ring for his main event. Nate slapped a member of Jake's team, but not the big guy yelling at them. He slapped this like Travis Barker looking guy with his nails painted, who didn't, say anything, or I didn't hear him say anything. Not that painting your nails should be mentioned, but I mean, maybe he's more of the fashion side of things here. I don't know what he does as far as his team, but he wasn't the big guys yelling at him. It's kind of like you slap the smallest guy in the room who doesn't seem to be the aggressor there. I thought that was kind of weak, but I'm a fan of Diaz. I have to say, Diaz did say that he wanted to go into another sport after his final UFC fight. A lot of people were thinking it was going to be pro wrestling, but it looks like it would, that was wrong. It was another sports entertainment realm. It looks like it's going to be building to this like celebrity boxing, this Showtime boxing match here. Logan Paul, the other Paul, of course, fighting Roman Reigns this weekend, not last weekend. I guess I jumped the gun a little bit with my predictions, but if you want to know my predictions for Crown Jewel, go and listen to the last episode. But Logan Paul might be looking past Roman Reigns, like I said earlier, because he wants to fight Andrew Tate in an MMA fight. I guess Logan Paul isn't as good of a boxer as Jake Paul is. He's done a few exhibition fights with Floyd Mayweather of all people. Do I see this going well for Logan? No, I think the former kickboxing champ, I know people don't like Andrew Tate, but he is a trained fighter, and he is at his peak now, where, the Jake Paul method is, fight the older guys, get a name for yourself, where this would be going against that method, and I think it's going to be going against Logan in his favor. I think his WWE stock is rising. The worst thing you can do in your WWE career is get knocked out for real in front of a lot of people. I mean, just as CM Punk that. I feel like the mainstream audience to a degree really hasn't gotten over his UFC run. But WWE is, doing a lot of cool things now. The Great Muta has been announced to wrestle Shinsuke Nakamura on, New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. For Noah, their big show on New Year's Day. Shinsuke Nakamura, I guess the forbidden door is open in the WWE. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. Kenta went to Noah during his WWE run. Hideo Itami 205 Live. Not anyone the caliber of Shinsuke Nakamura. I would say even Kenta isn't as big of a star in Japan as Nakamura is. And I would also say that Nakamura is a bigger star in the WWE as Kenta is. Tokyo Sports reporting that Noah and the WWE could not come to terms, but Noah, persistently continued negotiation after Vince McMahon retired, and in July finally had an agreement was reached on the 26th of October, which was when the news came out. This is big. I wonder what this says for Carl Anderson and his Never title. Of course, November 5th, he was booked in New Japan, in Japan proper. So he has the Never Championship, as you guys know, for New Japan, but he is, a WWE contracted wrestler. New Japan knew that he might be going back to the WWE since August, is what the Good Brothers are saying. But the guy from New Japan is saying that they're trying their best to have, every person who is promoted for November 5th to be on November 5th card. The problem with that is it's the same exact day as Crown Jewel. So what's going to happen here? Carl Anderson, will he take the Saudi money? Probably. What will happen with the Never title? Will it be vacant? Is this setting up for something bigger where maybe Hikuleo or another challenger of his wins the Never Championship, and then you have kind of a Never Championship storyline going into Wrestle Kingdom, where who is the real Never Champion, Carl Anderson or Hikuleo, something of that nature. I'm not sure. This is the most interested I've ever been in a Carl Anderson match, I will have to say, and I'm definitely going to tune into both shows. I was going to watch both shows either way, but I'm definitely going to be watching Carl Anderson a little more intently, just to see even if he makes like a little reference to New Japan on the WWE show. But speaking about Noah, it wasn't the only thing they were doing was announcing matches for Muta. They also had a card featuring the great Muta, Marufuji, and Inamura versus Tanahashi, Makabe, and Hanma. Cool video package to set up the match here, and I don't even speak Japanese, but this was pretty cool. Marufuji and Tanahashi were like the two aces of their respective companies when I first started diving into Japanese wrestling really heavily around 2014. So it's still kind of cool to see them both in, you know, this setting here. Muta and Tanahashi start off both on their teams, going up against each other, and then Nomura and Makabe locking horns here. One thing I do like about Noah commentators is they will call you out if you are not striking hard. Nomura striking incredibly hard. Makabe lightening up a little bit even at the younger opponent. You don't see that very much. Hitting, and then Inamura also hits the meatball press, which is a funny name for just a running cross body that he does. He hit that on every single member of the opposing team. Shining Wizard to Tanahashi, and I already noticed that was on the cover of a Japanese wrestling magazine right there. That was pretty much all all those two stars did. They kind of rolled out to the ring, sliced bread for Marufuji, 1, 2, 3. Marufuji pins Hanma, the most anticlimactic pin I think of all these 6 men you could do is Marufuji pinning Hanma, ending, what can you do? But then the shot of Muta and Tanahashi kind of sitting on the ramp, catching their breath together. They look over to their right, and Inamura and Makabe are still going at it. This was pretty cool. Very fun match, very entertainment-ish main event, kind of like a Raw match, I guess, like a really, really good Raw match. Unlike the main event to the show, this main event was great. Kitamiya versus Fujita. Kitamiya's first title defense against the former champion, former MMA fighter Fujita. Slow pace, but snug as fuck. Fujita, vintage Fujita here. He spends a lot of time trying to submit the champion, but the young champ won't give up. Soccer kick to the head. Randy Orton style, just punting him. Fujita wearing him down. Champ answers back with some running knees. Senton from the top rope to the floor. Shining Wizard. 1, 2. Fujita kicks out. Randy Orton punts and kicks from Kitamiya. 1, 2. Fujita kicks out again. Lariat. 1, 2. Kitamiya kicks out. Hurricane Rana. 1, 2, 3. Kitamiya retains the title. Which there's been 6 Noah champions this year, so it's a big deal to retain this title. And then after the match, Fujita kind of just storms off right away, not putting over the champion at all. I thought that was kind of lame. I hear rumors that he's hard to deal with and that he doesn't really put anyone over, and this would be, even though he lost, this would be an example of that. Like, once you get the pin, you pop up and walk away. I mean, Bobby Fish and CM Punk have had issues with this in AEW this year, and I mean, I don't know if Kitamiya is going to take exception to it, but I kind of took exception to it as a fan. But right after the match, the champion barely caught his breath before Suzuki and Timothy Thatcher walk out there. Former NXT superstar Timothy Thatcher challenges Kitamiya on November the 10th. So Noah has been really fucking good this year, I would say. I've been enjoying the matches. I've been enjoying what I've seen. The additions of, random old WB guys like, Rene Dupree and RVD have been fun to watch. The addition of Ninja Mac has been fun to watch. It's really cool to see his career just blow up this year going into Noah. It's fun to have something else to talk about. It's fun to have something good to talk about. Unlike Raw, I mean, the past few weeks, I think Raw has been kind of a dud. They were kind of hitting on all cylinders with this Triple H era, and I would say the past month they've been kind of stalling out on the Triple H era. The only thing that I thought that happened of note was the Brock and Bobby pull apart. Simple booking here. This was good. They could stretch this out to Mania, I think. If this match goes well in Abu Dhabi, or where are they at? Not Abu Dhabi, in Saudi Arabia. They could have them both in the Rumble, both throw each other out, and then we get a rematch at Mania. Triple H out there saying if they touch, the fight's off. I really enjoyed that little aspect. So many people out there to try to pull them apart. And I'm excited for this match. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not going to be, Kota Ibushi versus Kenny Omega by any means, but like I said last podcast, it could be better than WrestleMania 33 Goldberg and Brock. I think replacing Goldberg with Bobby Lashley, it just adds more athleticism, a younger guy than Goldberg, and I think if they book it well, especially in that Saudi Arabian crowd who loves their, big WWE behemoth match, I think this could be a very fun match to watch. Another thing that's fun, as cheesy as it is the WWE obligatory themed holiday match, the Trick or Street fight here. Otis as Chris Farley, party boy style gimmick thing, that, the skit from the 90s. Riddle coming out with Elias, dressing as Ezekiel. Riddle wins with the RKO. No Forbidden Door here, but lots of Smashing Pumpkins on Raw. Going into AEW Dynamite, Mike Tyson will be on Rampage next week. We'll see if the B Show pops a big number with, the A-level star. Jade promo was really good here on Rampage. Super well done. A lot of shadows here showing off how jacked she is. The purple and blue lights kind of added a nice touch here. Just real cool ambiance, basic promo. But yeah, I like the cinematography really helped send the message home here, and I really enjoyed that. Ethan Page cutting a good promo as well, playing, or more like blaming MJF for the attacks the firm orchestrated on Dynamite. Going into the matches, though, ranking every single match from worst to first, all four of them. Number 4, Keith Lee and Supernetico. Huge powerbomb, 1, 2, 3. It's got to be ranked last then. But then the Acclaimed interrupt. They come up, they come down to the ring without Billy Gunn. They have questions saying, what happened to Billy Gunn, Keith Lee? Keith Lee doesn't know. And then on the screen, swerved, kidnapped daddy ass. As silly as it is to review something and say something like that, it was actually pretty well done. It reminded me of like a Saw movie right around Halloween time. Swerved, kidnapped daddy ass, that's right. And a pair of pliers. Swerve grabs a pair of pliers and takes it to daddy ass's fingers. So no more fingering for daddy ass. I hope my neighbors cannot hear me doing this recording. I swear I'm just talking about wrestling. But this is a good story arc. You had, Mark Sterling say that he had the IP, the intellectual property of, the scissoring. They finally won that back, but now he physically can't do the scissoring because his finger is injured. Great heel shit. It's like that gif of Hulk Hogan getting his mustache shaven in WCW, or if they ever shaved The Rock's eyebrow, or if they broke Triple H or HBK's arm so they couldn't do the suck it. It is good. It's good storytelling here, and it also kind of is interesting to see how Keith Lee and Swerve are partners, but the cheesy thing is, can they coexist? But this is full-blown heel mode for one, while the other guy is trying to save face. I don't know what's going to happen here, but I'm intrigued by that. Number 3 out of 4, Ty Mello and Madison Rayne. Solid in-ring here. Decent in-ring here, but the crowd could not give a shit about this. DDT, neckbreaker, 1-2, Ty kicks out. Ty KO, 1, 2, 3. Ty Mello gets the victory. Number 2 out of 4, Mox versus Matt Menard, the curtain jerker for Rampage. JR put over Mox on Twitter saying he was, stone cold-ish. People didn't like that. And JR also put over Matt Menard on commentary. So this was a JR match here. Mox hits a cutter to Parker at ringside, but that allows Matt to take advantage before Mox just taps out Menard. Stokely, Hathaway, and Lee Moriarty come out, and we are getting a match between Moriarty and Mox on Dynamite this week. Moriarty was brought into AEW along with guys like Wheeler Yuta and Garcia. Similar pedigree here, making their name for themselves in the indies during the pandemic and everything. But since he kind of came into AEW, he kind of flatlined here. It was good for him to join the firm. That was a good sign that they were doing something with him. And you see him breaking out a little bit, with the green hair, the overly energetic version of the firm here. But this is a big match for him. I want to say this is bigger than the Danielson match, bigger than the CM Punk match, because he had those, and those were months ago, and then he kind of hasn't been anywhere since. So this is, I would say, the biggest match of his career on Dynamite against the world champion. Let's see what he can do, with a manager, with a storyline behind him, not just, handing out 4.5 stars to, aging wrestlers. Let's see what he can do. I'm rooting for you, Lee Moriarty. But number one, Wardlow versus Matt Taven. Matt Taven coming out with the Kingdom. Mike Bennett getting involved early. Kingdom at ringside, making sure Taven has the upper hand. And Taven has the upper hand because he's going after the leg of Wardlow. I like the psychology here. But F10, lariat, belly to belly. Wardlow limping around, but gaining momentum. Maria on the apron, powerbomb. Mike Bennett on the apron again, thinks better of it, gets down, powerbomb Symphony, 1, 2, 3. The Kingdom start attacking. Joe comes out. Powerhouse Hobb comes out. Then the Embassy comes out and attacks all of them. Lots of booking at the end. Some might say overbooking at the end. But I enjoy it, man. You get to see a little different look from Powerhouse. He's not wearing the overalls and the fur jacket. He's just wearing some jeans. And I think he wrestling some guys his own size here, and Wardlow, and then the members of the Embassy and Joe and everything. I think he can do a good job and get himself over here. Everyone involved in this whole angle intrigues me every time I see him, and it provides something that AEW doesn't have a lot of, which is heavyweights in the ring wrestling each other. Some heavyweights kind of get shafted a little bit. I mean, when's the last time we've seen Lance Archer? And then last time we saw Nick Comoroto, he was getting beaten up and treated like shit. And it's like, what's going on here, man? Nick Comoroto and Lance Archer, I think, should be kind of those guys that are seen every week. I mean, also, I know Brody King has taken maybe a bit of a hiatus since Malachi Black has. Miro, there's tons of guys who have some size on them that can provide a different kind of thing that you really don't really see them use to their full potential. Jake Hager, he's like the lackey of the Jericho Appreciation Society. I guess he's, not the best worker, but I mean, his size gets him over, and he had a great match with Claudio. I don't know what Tony Khan is doing here. I'm a big fan of the light heavyweight style myself. I'm a big fan of New Japan myself, but big guys, the only reason it was cool to see smaller guys wrestle was because you never saw it on WWE. But now that you're on AEW and you never see big guys wrestle, you kind of want to see big guys wrestle. I think you need a taste of everything to make the whole wrestling stew taste good. And right now we're missing the heavyweights in AEW. We're also kind of missing a lot of heavyweights in New Japan now. I mean, going into New Japan, we had Ren Narita versus Toru Yano. Ren Narita attacking Yano before the bell. Yana taped Ren Narita's feet together and then rolled him under the ring to try to win by getting the 20 count. It does not work. He hits a slingshot into an exposed buckle. Big double knee by Ren Narita, 1, 2, 3, and he advances in the television title tournament. This match was okay. The next match, the main event, sucked, especially after watching Noah, those two great matches, and seeing that good pull apart on Raw. I needed a little more. I knew the crowd, it was a smaller crowd for a New Japan show, and these guys wrestled like that, which kind of sucks. It takes me out of it, and I'm watching from home. Kenta versus Sonata. Sonata hiding under the ring, which is something they kind of did last match, which I'll get to that a little more. Slow pace, but not heavy hitting at all, unlike the Fujita Kinamiya main event match in Noah. So that was kind of lame. It was a small show, like I said before, and this main event just made it seem even smaller. Ref bump, Kenta gets a chair, can't use it. Sonata goes for a moonsault, goes for another moonsault. Kenta gets his knees up, goes for the GTS. Sonata counters it with a roll-up, 1, 2, no. Kenta goes into the exposed turnbuckle, just like the last match, and gets rolled up, 1, 2, 3. So Sonata wins in a roll-up. They did the exposed turnbuckle just like Yano and Ren Narita did. They did the under the ring thing just like Yano and Ren Narita did. Like, it seems like the only match they ever watched that they got influence from was the match before it, which kind of sucks. I know, Raven was big on doing that, like doing something completely different from all the other matches on the show. And if people remember him fondly in ECW, he was a big star in ECW. Sonata apparently doesn't think the same way. This tournament is pretty good though. This was definitely the worst match on the tournament. Sonata kind of just cashes in a lot of the time, which bums me out. But this tournament, I'm hoping for a Zack Sabre Jr. Ren Narita finals. As I need to get a little bit of water. My mouth is getting parched. I've been talking about wrestling here for a long time now, but I'm done, guys. I hope you liked it. As always, fly high. I'm out.